Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love. Back with Johnny H. How are you, Johnny?
Okay. To those waiting in the chat, we were only 2 minutes late.
It's 2 minutes.
And those listening on audio, we were meant to start at 12:30, but we have started at 12:32 with a waiting audience. And we have to, Sean, just to remember, we have to remember those on audio when we're describing some of the things that are going on here, because they don't have the benefit of seeing what we're up to. But yeah.
They're not seeing what we're up to, mate. When you put those shirts on, you know what I mean?
This one tonight, this is my special Middle Eastern shirt.
Wow, careful.
Right. Okay, guys, let's go.
How's everyone doing? Guys, please smash the like button for us on the What a start. Smash the like button on the channel if you haven't already, or if you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bells to let you know when we are going next, and drop a comment throughout. Let us know where you're from, who you support. And like I said, or like Johnny's already said, if you are interested, guys, in audio versions or video versions, but podcast format, video versions on Spotify, audio is on Apple Pods and Amazon and all those things too. Johnny, another day in the world of transfers and another absolutely wild roller coaster of stories to get through today. Let's start with the news, of course, that Arsenal fans are in absolute meltdown because it looks like it's entirely agreed. 5-year deal, Noni Madueke. Arsenal fans are saying, no, Madueke, please. They're calling their club unambitious. Is this guy really as bad as Arsenal fans think he is relative to what they're trying to achieve? I think he was one of the best take-on guys in the Premier League last year, wasn't he?
He's 23 years of age. He's not even the finished article, and he's already causing havoc. Anyone who watched him in Holland will see that, he's a threat. He is a threat. I mean, look, he played mainly down the right for Chelsea, but I definitely think he can definitely do a job down on the left-hand side. Does this mean they're just adding to it? Or are they adding to Martinelli and the rest that they got down on that flank? Or are they going to sell Martinelli? Does that mean they're out of the race for Rodrigo? Does that mean they're out of the race for Eze? I think not.
No.
And we've also seen the link just now, just confirmed. Zubimendi is there in an Arsenal shirt. And, if that doesn't get the juices flowing for the Arsenal fans, then nothing will. Because for me, Zubimendi is the complete number 6. And with that double pivot with Merino that they had at Real Sociedad, I think they are a threat in the middle of the park. And they have massive options. Don't forget, they have Merino, they have Zubimendi, they have Rice, they have Odegaard. They have so many options. They have Norgard now. And if they carry on signing the players they are, they're going to be a major threat. So I'm not quite sure why Arsenal fans are in meltdown. I mean, are they saying, Sean, 1 minute we're going for Rodrigo for 80, 90 million. Next thing, we're going for Noni Madueke. And therefore, what the hell is that? What do you think?
Well, I just think, first of all, Arsenal fans, if you're watching, then let us know your take on it. What's the genesis of the meltdown about? For me, I guess it's because they think, well, if they're getting this guy in, then they can't get two. They can't get an Eze and a Rodrigo. They can't get, whoever else they might have been looking at that can kind of do a little bit of everything. And they don't think that Noni's quite up to, Premier League champion standards. But he's not going to be coming in to start. If he's coming in as a rotation, if he's coming in to back up to, it wasn't that long ago, wasn't it, that Arsenal went, and when they lost Saka, they had to play Reece Nelson. Like, it's a massive improvement on what they're doing. You can't have world-class players you can't have 25 world-class players in your squad, right? At some point, there's going to be a drop-down. I don't think it's a bad signing for them. I'll tell you what, if I'm Noni Madueke and I'm looking at the various social media outbursts, I don't know if I want to join. Or maybe if you've got a certain characteristic about you want to come and prove people wrong. But it's not as if they're going to be rolling out the red carpet for him in terms of a fan outreach. So I find it very, very interesting and a little bit kind of, spoilt, I think, of Arsenal fans to be thinking this way. I tell you what, I would probably say, Johnny, is if they had signed Gyökeres already. I think it's the order in which it's happening rather than the player itself. If they sign Gyökeres, they might be more okay with Noni. I think it's just the fact that, that the one thing that they've been looking for and wanting for so long, they still haven't got any closer to. But look, these transfers take time, mate. How long ago was Zubimendi agreed? Well, 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, they were twerking for him even longer than that. It's been going on months, this. So, Liverpool tried to sign Zubimendi last summer. And then there was Arsenal twerking. But look, the long-term goal was to link up Merino and Zubimendi. So I think I'd like to know, how do you think the conversation went between Arteta and Noni? Because why would you leave Chelsea? I mean, unless Maresca said, look, Noni, right, you ain't going to get any minutes at all here. You might get a few minutes as sub. Why would he go to Arsenal not to start? I'm trying to understand the mentality. Was that contract that he had at Chelsea not a great contract and Arsenal are offering him more? I'm trying to work out the inducement for him to go from Chelsea to Arsenal to, is it more game time? Is it the position? And is he going to start over, say, Martinelli? I mean, he's not going to start over Saka, is he? So where does he see him? I mean, is his game time going to be limited? Is Trossard going to be going? Is Martinelli going to be going? I feel that Arsenal will be selling players to balance this off. But listen, either way, right now, Arsenal have got a very strong squad. But the only reason that Arsenal should be going into meltdown right now is one reason and one reason only. They have not signed the striker, the one player that they've needed probably for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and exactly 100%, mate. I think that's the thing. So, but it's just a typical fan thing. It's not an Arsenal fan thing. Tottenham fans are going through the exact same thing right now. It's like as soon as the window starts, they want everything done immediately. If anything's not done immediately, if you don't come out of the traps firing all cylinders on fire, all guns blazing, then the club aren't showing any ambition. If you go and get 3 or 4 players in the first 2 weeks, and then there's nothing more to do for the rest of the summer, they're calling it like, what have you done for me lately? It's that everyone wants this perfect world where you get everything and you get more than what you asked for, more than what you need. There's never any problems. And it's just a nice drip feed of a nice sort of only a week or two between each transfer so that everyone's constantly satisfied. It's like your beer is being constantly topped up by the club. It doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. Some clubs go early and then wait and see if there's anything else available. Other clubs wait for, like I said before, mate, sometimes you have the patience is a virtue model that is attempted by the clubs, and others are doing the early bird catches the worm thing. And you never know which one's going to work out until you're reflecting at the end of the window. But I think Arsenal fans getting furious, Tottenham fans getting furious. I'm sure United fans are getting furious. I'm sure Newcastle United fans until about last week are starting to get furious as well. Aston Villa probably are getting I think it's just a case of like, you can't judge the window until the window closes, but human nature is to be impatient, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. But I honestly think, Arsenal, if they sign Gyökeres with Zubimendi and Noni, are serious contenders. I don't think they'll be second this season. I really don't. I just think that with that defence, they're addressing the weaknesses. And, Zubimendi is an upgrade on the guy that shan't be mentioned, who's just left. And I think Gyökeres is an absolute goal machine. We saw it with Harry Kane, one season wonder, and that's what they've been saying about Gyökeres over and over again. He won't do it next year. He won't do it next year, and he keeps doing it. And can you imagine how many goals he's going to be scoring with the likes of the players that are going to be providing the assists for him? It's quite scary. That team. And, I'm not dismissing Liverpool, but for me, Liverpool need to sort out their defence. They cannot go in with just Gomez and Konate and Van Dijk, in my opinion. Now they've got rid of Quansah to buy Leverkusen. I just think they need more. But Arsenal fans, come on, have a word with yourself. It could be far, far worse.
Well, it could be. You know, it's interesting because of doing this channel, I spend a little bit more time watching other teams' fan channels, and there's a hell of a lot of Arsenal fans that are just perennialists. Like I think there's quite a lot of them in the Tottenham fan base, from my experience. But in terms of content creators in the Arsenal fan base, there's definitely currency in being unhappy, and a lot of them even say, I saw one last night saying, "Oh, you know what? No, we're getting Gyökeres now. Finally, are we? Well, cool. But what happens if he gets injured? Okay, what are we doing here? Like, you know, it doesn't matter what happens. There's still another reason, another scenario that you can lean into that can allow you to continue to be negative. It's very
well, you've got 3 false nines. I mean, you've got Mourinho can play, you've got Havertz that can play it, and you've got Noni that can play as a false nine, right? And you know, Arsenal have got by season after season. You know, not worrying about it. I know, PM, that Portugal isn't the Premier League, but he's done it in Europe and he's done it everywhere he's gone. You know, we hear the story that he is in. But if I had to choose, for me, be Victor Osimhen number 1, Gyökeres number 2, but Sesko would definitely be down the crest.
You'd have Osimhen over Gyökeres, would you?
It only because I think he's 100% tailor-made for the Premier League. Like, he's just, everything about him is Premier League. Yes, they got Jesus, but he was never nailing them crosses. We saw it so many times.
Oh, Johnny's on fire. Johnny made me laugh earlier. We'll save it for a future stream. But I was walking my dog earlier, and Johnny, we were talking about a certain scenario that would play out potentially one day in a content format. And Johnny gave an example of what we were talking about. I pissed myself. He's on one today. He's certainly in a good mood. Let's move the story along, Johnny. I'm sure we'll float back towards Arsenal. Well, in fact, we are going to float back to Arsenal in a minute via this story.
Yeah.
Tottenham close in on Mohamed Kudus. Story broke last night. Gone midnight. Ornstein, like Romano, likes a late one. And he said that Tottenham had a third bid. Well, he didn't. He said Tottenham had another bid rejected, which is, by my count, is 3. 50 plus add-ons was rejected, but the clubs are in discussions. It's interesting to hear. We don't often hear this, but personal terms won't be a problem. Wages will not be an issue for Tottenham. So Kudus to Tottenham is advancing. The player wants to come, allegedly. A lot of the noise that was out yesterday during the daytime was that, you know, Tottenham are maybe going to walk away from Kudus because they don't want to get involved in the bidding war, and that there's other teams that are, you know, taking it more seriously. That seemingly, I mean, Ornstein's not the sort of guy that says things unless he's confident. He's not about being first. He's about being right. And so a little bit more optimism, a little bit more pep in the step of Tottenham fans this morning on social media, mate.
Is there any Kudus signing Kudus? Kudus signing Kudus? I don't know. Listen, I always remember the game earlier in the season. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
This was the friendly encounter they had earlier on in the season. Look, for me, joking aside, I like a player who's on the way up. What I mean by that is, you know, a player who's scoring more goals, creating more goals. And a guy that scored 8 goals in his first season and scored 5 goals in his second. And a guy who got 5 assists in his first season and only got 3 assists this season. 3 assists in 32 games. Smells to me of a player who is threatening, but he has no end product. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad player in any shape, way, or form, but is a player scoring 3 goals and 5 assists really at the age of 25, coming up 25? Is he really worth 55, 60 million pounds?
Yeah, I think he is.
60 million pound, the new 20 million. I don't know. I'm not saying he's a bad player because his take-ons are superb, but like Adama Traore, his take-ons were superb. He was always beating his man, but there was a lack of end product. And as I said, I like to sign players on an upward trajectory, and I've no problem paying the price for a player on that upward trajectory. But we are playing top dollar for a player who is on a downward trajectory. And we've seen with players like Jadon Sancho and João Felix, who for some reason who haven't done it. And, you know, the next club thinks that he can rekindle his career, and he goes to the next club and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen. And I'm just a little bit wary that that could happen with Kudus. I'm not saying it will, but I'm worried that it could.
I don't disagree. It's certainly a worthwhile conversation. I would just make the argument that, just to play devil's advocate on it. I mean, I think he's a fantastic player. I think he creates a hell of a lot of mischief, a hell of a lot of noise. And he was playing. First and foremost, he's playing in a team that finished, I think, 15th in the end, or maybe 14th. But they were on the back foot the entire season. They went through 2 different managerial shifts that played football entirely different ways. Neither of them really hit the ground running. They essentially kind of shut up. They just sort of gave up on the league towards the end. Even in the West Ham Tottenham game, which is their cup final. No disrespect to West Ham fans if they're watching this, but they didn't care in that game. It was the most horrendous sort of West Ham Tottenham game I've ever seen. And then when you factor this in, Johnny, as well, let me just get it up on the screen here. Look at these amount of positions. This is just from last season. This is not his entire career, right? So over here, this is just 24-25 season. So he played 32 games in the Premier League, 2 in the FA Cup and 2 in the Carabao and 1 in the FA Cup. You're right. The numbers don't look fantastic, right? 5 goals, 4 assists. But
can I just interrupt you just 1 second for the people that are watching on Apple there? We're looking at Kudus' stats. The interesting thing is the reason his biggest complaint was that he was being played as a left winger and he didn't want to play as a left winger. Yet he scores 3 of his 5 goals as a left winger. I just think that there's something not quite adding up here. And the versatility, look, the thing here is Thomas Frank thinks he can get hold of him and mould him. And I believe he definitely can because he's a hands-on manager, right? The thing that's appealing to this is his flexibility across the front. That's a massive thing in modern day football.
Yeah, he's an all-round player, but I just think it's important to note that when we're challenging the guy and we're saying that he's on the decline, technically, I don't have a problem with you saying it because technically his stats, in terms of output at least, suggest that. But we have to bake in the variables that West Ham had a shockingly bad season, even relative compared to their own standards. 2, he played under 2 different managers that played him in different positions and in a different system that he had to learn alongside all the West Ham players did. And 3, it's very hard to be consistent if you're being asked to play. Look, it wasn't just like, he played a couple of minutes here and there. 9 games at left winger, 8 at centre forward, 7 as a 10, 6 on the right, 2 as a left mid, more defensively, 2 as a right midfield, and 1 as a second striker. I even think, for what it's worth, I think there's a mistake here because I remember him playing very much as an 8 in a couple of games. So, I think that this is not an excuse for his poor season, but I certainly think it explains part of the rationale why someone might be unhappy, because it's very difficult if you as an individual playing in a team sport are judged on your output, yet you are asked to do things in an input format fashion that don't really suit you, that don't help you, that are being done to help others, to being helping the team. And I think that is, momentum is everything in life. If you get familiar with a certain style of play, if you get familiar with a certain position, if you understand what a manager wants, then you can put your effort into it. But if you're being asked to you're basically being pulled from pillar to post every 5 minutes by 2 different systems. I think last season is not the season to judge him on. I think the season to judge him, I'm still looking at the transfer market.
8 goals and 5. Look, okay, let's go long term. 65 games, 13 goals, 11 assists. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, 65 in the Premier League, 13 and 12. So 25 GA in 65 is not a bad return for a winger. Right, in the Premier League, in the Eredivisie, 65 games.
No, I'm not. Listen, in that league, I'm not going to look.
The numbers are not particularly dissimilar, right? They're basically the same.
They're not, but the Dutch league is considerably easier than the Premier League, and he wasn't massively outstanding. What I used to remember seeing him when he was playing for Ajax was this fantastic, exciting young player who was doing all sorts down the wing. I look at
that's pretty handy though, isn't it, mate? The Champions League stats: 9 games, 4 and 2, 6 in 9 as a winger.
Yeah. I like him as from his excitement point of view. My question is, what is his character like? We've seen it can be a little bit difficult. Let's be honest, right? And I thought the number one thing that Thomas Frank said. He doesn't want any dickheads, no dickheads at the club. The question is, why is no one else bidding for him? I mean, we have talked, but no one's actually come in. Spurs are the only team that are bidding for him. And I listen, if
But
we
you could
were
make the same argument about Christian Romero, couldn't you?
No, but look, you're going back a long way, Sean. And the reason we got Christian Romero was because
I mean now Christian Romero, like no one apart was one team that's bidding for Christian Romero.
No, I'm talking about a player. They know Spurs aren't going to pay him, and clubs know the price that it would cost them anyway. My point is,
it's the same argument for Kudus, though, right?
No, come on, you can't compare Kudus credibility with Christian Romero.
No, I'm not. But you asked the question why you're making the assertion that the fact that there's not a bidding war for a player equals that's a question mark, but there's not a bidding war for Romero either, which would, by your logic, would mean that there should be a question mark over Romero. But
no. You can't. Come on. It's not the same logic. It's not the same logic at all. It's not the same logic at all. First of all, one player, no one's not bidding at the moment. Spurs have told them the price and that's it. But what I'm saying to you is this is a player that we're led to believe is in demand by, according to the press, 6 or 7 other clubs. What I'm saying is Spurs are the only ones that apparently have put in a concrete bid, 2 concrete bids. If this player was 35, 40 million pounds, maybe I would think a little bit different about it. Maybe, look,
the fact that I rate the player so much, the fact that there's not a bidding war going on, I think is good news rather than bad news. Like I like the fact that Tottenham are being on the front foot, being assertive, trying to rebuild bridges with West Ham. There's this notion going around that Tottenham has got some Tottenham tax attached to it. I really hope that's not true. It might be because Daniel Levy is a bit of an exhausting counterparty to have to negotiate with. And I really hope that this doesn't end up with us doing all of the heavy lifting for someone else to come in last minute, bearing in mind that his release fee, by the way, that is 85 million quid, only goes until the 10th of July. After that, it's pulled.
Well, look, everyone knows that, Sean. The clubs all know that. And that's why this is going to drag on. Right, unless West Ham accepts it. Look, I'm not saying, just read my lips, I'm not saying the player is a bad player.
I know.
Yeah.
You're just challenging the value of it. I totally hear you.
Challenging the value, and I'm just saying it seems a lot of money for a guy who scored 5 goals and 3 assists in 32 games, right? You know, I used to say the same about Adama Traore, you know, when he was younger. I remember watching him for Middlesbrough and thinking, oh, my God, this player's unbelievable. Look at the power, you know, all the baby oil. No one could get near him. And look what happened, you know, a career that flattered to deceive. And we've seen it before about players reaching a peak, going to another club and another club and another club and not achieving and not reaching those levels ever again. Vlahovic, right? There's another one, right? Okay. Unbelievable at Fiorentina. Played, everyone was fighting for him. He ended up going to Juventus. He had once, and then he's just tailed off to the point now where they're trying to pay him off. The same with Jadon Sancho. The same with many other players who flattered to deceive. And I'm not saying he's going to be one of them. I hope he isn't. And I hope he goes on. Listen, as far as take-on's concerned, Sean, he's right up there. I think he's probably right at the top, probably in the top 5 in the league for take-on. So, you know.
You know what's interesting, mate, just quickly, I don't know the specifics of this one, but if you actually look at his overall career, his best output in terms of games played, if you're judging on the position, as a central midfielder, as an 8, he played 46 games. I'm not sure where that's made up from, right? But 46 games and got 14 GA, 11 goals and 3 assists as an 8. Now, like, if you're looking just at his versatility, clearly he's someone that can bang in goals, you know, at whatever level, at whatever competition. Obviously, like I say, when he was at Ajax, I know I take your point and I hear you that the Eredivisie is not the same as the Premier League. His stepping up to a different league you can judge his output at the Eredivisie, but he's matched the output of the Premier League. But at the Champions League level, he's got a 66% GA return ratio. And as I say, as a central midfielder, maybe his versatility is something that could be utilised in a variety of different systems, whereby you might end up getting a little bit more of the Pape Sarr style of value, where Pape Sarr can get forward and pop up with a goal, but maybe Kudus can do it with a little bit more you know, or a little bit less risk to people like me who sit in row 46 at the in the south stand, where the ball, when Pape Sarr puts his foot through it, and it's closer to me than it is to the back of the net.
Look, he's been signed to play out on the right, Sean.
I know, yeah, I know.
I've got no doubt whatsoever about it, right? He would have asked, where are you going to play me? He would have asked for the story, and he would have been told he's playing out on the right. The fact that he's versatile and that will do that's fine. I just think that we shall find out. As I said, I think that Thomas Frank is the coach that can get hold of him like he can Matthias Tell and turn him into a Brian Mbeumo, because he has the pace, he has the trickery. It's about the finesse in the final third, creating those special chances. And what Thomas Frank likes to do, he likes to overload in triangles on the flanks. He's very much on that. So this is where obviously he will fit in, and he's more aggressive than Johnson. Assad super chat. Thanks very much, Assad. You wanted Richie. Was he on an upward trajectory? That's a very good point.
I didn't want Richie at all, for what it's worth, Assad. I never wanted Richie.
Yeah, he's certainly on a downward trajectory. Look, my best mate is his agent, so therefore I suppose I was clouded when he arrived. He has certainly not done enough to justify the price, and no one can argue that. But I feel that
his fitness has destroyed his chance, though, hasn't he?
Correct. That's more it. But I do believe what you will see is, if he can keep fit and Thomas Frank gets hold of him, he's exactly the sort of player that he'd love to have in those Champions League nights against the big clubs with the shithousery. We shall see. We shall see. If he does go, we will need another striker.
100%. Thank you very much for the super chat. Excuse me, Azad. Really appreciate it. I wanted to move the story sort of, we're staying around the kind of the forward line thing. We've got a bunch more stories to bring to you from other teams, United and German teams and stuff. But obviously tragic news, not tragic, sorry, sad, unfortunate news. I don't know how you... There was tragic news a couple of days ago. This isn't tragic. This is just bad luck. Musiala breaking his ankle yesterday in the Club World Cup quarterfinals. Look, massively impactful, Johnny, on not just Bayern Munich, but I think the transfer market overall, because Bayern Munich were already looking at Martinelli. They were already looking at Nico Williams. They were already offered Marcus Rashford. They were obviously looking to replace Sane to some degree and at some price point. They didn't really want Marcus Rashford. Nico Williams ended up staying at Bilbao. Martinelli, as of this point, is not going to be receiving a £72 million bid from Bayern Munich, but Saudi have apparently come in and stepped in. I just wonder whether Musiala's injury, and bearing in mind, Musiala is obviously a traditional 10, but he drifts left, or he starts on the left and drifts in. Exactly the same type of profile as an Eberechi Eze and the Xavi Simons. Now, just quickly, Xavi Simons is a player that obviously Tottenham have had on their radar, as have Arsenal. Rumours out yesterday that Arsenal were looking at him as well. Bayern Munich weren't looking at Xavi Simons, but now with Musiala's injury and the fact they still have to replace Leroy Sané.
And Matthias Tell.
And Matthias Tell as well. Great point.
So don't forget, can I just add? Yeah. Bayern Munich were seriously twerking for over a year for Florian Wirtz. You know, it's so rare that a club like Bayern Munich twerk for a player in Germany and don't get him. They had the father working on it, told them, you've got to come and see the Bayern Munich. They've got a great story to tell you. He was having none of it. But the interesting thing is that if you remember the fantastic relationship that Elise had with Eze at Palace when they managed to play with each other, they were absolutely off the clock. I mean, their understanding, almost telepathic. Unfortunately, you know, they had a lot of injuries between them where one was playing and one was missing and so on and so forth. But when they played together, they were poetry in motion. And I think, you know, with someone with half a brain, will be able to see that. The truth of the matter is, though, will Eze be willing to leave the UK and go and play in Germany for Bayern Munich, or would he prefer to play for an Arsenal? Should Arsenal still be...
Will Bayern Munich pay the same money for a player where they don't get the benefit of the homegrown status that Eze provides at Tottenham or an Arsenal or another team in the Premier League?
I don't think 60 million phases them, mate. 20 million a pop. I really don't. I don't think that's going to have any effect on them. They're a huge club, Sean, and I think that they've been rejected a few times. They're not really used to it. Lost out on Wirtz. Nico Williams isn't coming. Other players that they looked at maybe aren't coming. So we shall see what happens. Good game yesterday, by the way, with Bayern and PSG, but very sad for Musiala because he literally just come back from another injury. I'm not sure that Donnarumma could have actually pulled out and not made that challenge as bad as it was. But yeah, that's football, unfortunately. And as we've seen with our own club, injury can decimate a player's career and decimate a season too. So let's see what happens. I like that, Jide. They missed out on Dragusin too. Yeah, they must be so upset about that one. I think there's going to be a lot of movement there, and we got Liverpool as well. With what the tragic news of what's happened here.
Yeah, they're going to have to go again, aren't they?
They're going to have to go again, and do they go again twice? Because Darwin Núñez looks like he could well go to Napoli, and obviously Jota filled a role. Yes, he didn't always start, but he was a goal machine. And when he came onto the pitch, and when he did start, always put in a fantastic shift. So, maybe they'll be looking for a player now that they hadn't thought about before. I know it seems crass to even be talking about such a thing, but it's going to be a hard one for Arsenal for Liverpool to get through unscathed mentally. I think in the early part of the season, hopefully they use it as a catalyst to inspire them to go on and have a great season again. But
yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Guys, we're halfway through. Oh, we're not even halfway. We're going to go a little bit longer today because there's loads of stories to get through. Not that much longer than an hour, but we've got lots of stories to get to. Before we get into them, please do remember to smash the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe. If you are watching and you're watching on a channel, on like a thing where you can hit the subscribe, if you want to participate in the chat, the only reason we sit the subscribe mode only on is because we're trying to grow the channel shamelessly. But if you do want to participate, if you hit the subscribe, you get instant access. You haven't got to wait or anything. So we're trying to grow this channel, and hopefully you guys can help us do that. 460 people in the house. Really appreciate that. It's awesome to see for such a small channel. Thank you very much, guys. Jonny,
I just want to add, Sean, if you're listening on audio, when you finished, or if you get a chance, hit that 5-star Apple on the Apple Audio, hit the 5-star review. And if you could just put in a very short review, that really helps us because we've just started out on there. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, guys. Here's a little story just to show you that we're not entirely biased here. A lovely little story for Arsenal fans to chew over. They are massive in the end. Look, as a Tottenham fan, I can't imagine I would ever see this sort of headline. A player knew about Tottenham's interest when he rejected Liverpool last year. But Arsenal fans can feel like they're a massive club because when Liverpool, like you said earlier, when Bayern Munich want a player, they usually get him. When Real Madrid want a player, they usually get them. When Arsenal obviously wanted their man, and he turned down Liverpool a year ago in pursuit of this, and this is coming from the Athletic, which isn't a place that makes things up. So nice little boon for Arsenal fans' confidence.
Yeah, Mourinho's his mate, and look, as we've said so many times before this even happened, when Arsenal were twerking for him, they want to recreate that unbelievable double pivot for Real Sociedad in La Liga, and they're not going to need 20 games to gel together. They're going to have instant chemistry, and he will rekindle that at Arsenal. It's a great signing for them.
Sensational signing, mate. I tell you what could also be a sensational signing. Actually, before we do, I just got to quickly pivot to our super chats because my man Blaine Devlin is being super generous once again. Blaine, you're an absolute sensation, mate. Thank you so much. I hope you're well, buddy. He's just gifted 5 Football Inc. memberships out. The memberships are getting so many gifted that we're gonna have to start doing some phone-in shows and putting out some members-only content or things, Johnny. We got to get you to do a striptease. You can leave your shirt on. Da 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 da. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Blaine. You're an absolute legend, mate. If you did receive it from Blaine, then please say thank you to him. And we are going to be starting to do some members-only or members content at some point very, very soon. But you're super generous, mate. 511 people here now watching this, so hopefully someone else who just joined got a little bit lucky there. Blaine, you're an absolute sensation. Johnny, I wanted to ask you about this one, mate. We're talking about the winger market, right? It's heating up. It's heating up. It's getting hot out here. AC Milan forward Rafael Leao is under consideration, according to Sport. Diario Sport. That's a nice handle, isn't it? They must have been around from the moment that Twitter first launched. Is under consideration by Barcelona after they missed out on Nico Williams. The Portuguese winger could be signed for around 70 million euros. Mate, at 70 million euros, Rafael Leao, like at that price point, what's that? 60 million quid, 62 million pound? That's in the same bracket. Everything is in that 60 to 70 or 55 to 70 million for basically everybody. And yet there's not a lot of action. 60, 70 million quid for Rafael Leao. What's your thoughts, mate? On his day, he is unplayable, but he's not always on his day, is he?
That's my problem. I like consistency. I like a player that turns up, is a 90-minute player you can rely on. Look, you can't be at the peak of your football for the entire season. You start to ramp up, but you need to be performing. Rafael Leao has as much interest in his rap music and producing videos and songs as he does with his football. And I always think to myself, first and foremost, you're a footballer and it's your football that's allowing you to do all these things on the side, never get sidetracked. Dele Alli and lots of others, it's happened to. There's no doubt he's a really good player. Barcelona are not paying 70 million. They don't have 70 million pounds. And as Athletic Bilbao said to Barcelona, you haven't got the money. And they said to the Spanish league, look, they're twerking for a player for 65 million. They can't even register the players they've got now. It ain't happening. Then we'll probably end up with a Marcus Rashford. They'll end up with a Marcus Rashford on loan with a subsidized transfer, I think, from Man United. They haven't got the money. And listen, Leao is a very good player, but very good players, top players and world-class players produce it on a much more regular basis, and he doesn't.
Listen, I think Rafael Leao, I'm not sure he would make it in the Premier League. I think he would. I think his work rate is like we've both said there. I think he can switch off a little bit, but when he's fired up, he's dangerous and goes at players. But whenever I've seen, like when Tottenham have played against Milan, for example, under Conte, I think it was in the Champions League, I wasn't massively impressed with him. And whenever I've seen him in the Champions League, like I say, flashes in the pan. But when he's at it, he's dangerous as hell. But I think that in the Premier League, you need to play at a different sort of caliber, especially as he's someone that has all that kind of take on, that kind of guile and that kind of sort of, I don't know how you want to call it, sexy flow with his football. You should be able to take players on a little bit more and work a little bit harder than you do in a slower pace league. In the Premier League, I'm not entirely convinced. But if Barcelona go in that direction, I think that maybe sort of ticks one of the threats off the ticks one of the players and one of the kind of one of the options out of the kind of conversation. Because I never really thought that there'd be a Premier League team coming in for Rafael Leao, but we shall see. Talking about an absolute steal, mate. We were speaking earlier on the phone, bro, about Manchester City and the value in like Rayan Cherki, what they got there versus what other teams are looking at. Rayan Ain't Nouri for the value, what he got there. There's a story out right now that I'm just going to skip ahead to. I've got about 15 stories for you, but here's one.
Scalvini, where we're going next?
No, we're going to go across to Manchester City, and we're going to find that they are looking to replace Kyle Walker with an absolute beast in Denzel Dumfries. He's got a 25 million euro release clause. That release fee is only available to teams outside of Europe. Now, obviously, Tottenham don't need a right back, so I'm not that bothered about this one in terms of Tottenham, but I am concerned by the fact that Manchester City are just able to improve and just go again. And there's absolutely no reason why Denzel Dumfries wouldn't want to go to City. They're obviously a top caliber team, likely to win a lot next season or at least compete for them. At 25 million euros, mate, it's an absolute bargain, isn't it? Absolute bargain.
Look, we saw what he did in the Champions League semi-finals. He was an absolute monster. He's 29 years of age, hence the price. There's no return on investment there, but 25 million for them. is a no-brainer. You know you're going to get experience. You know you can rely on him in the big games, in the Champions League games, to give you that consistency. And I think he fits perfectly into the Man City fold, especially when they've purchased a lot of young kids at the moment, a lot of fantastic potential and talent. So I think it's a good signing for them. Kyle Walker going to Burnley. This guy got the pace. He's got the experience, big game experience. I think it's a no-brainer. I wouldn't be surprised if that deal gets completed, to be honest.
I wouldn't either. I think it absolutely will, mate. I just it just worries me a little bit that I mean he's not he's what is he 27 years old or something?
29.
He's not
29.
29 is he? Okay, yeah. So he's not particularly young, but he's certainly younger than Kyle Walker, and he's got all the experience under the sun. I just think it makes a ton of sense. Next story.
Can I go to a free one? Can I go to a comedy free one for
yeah, please, mate. Sorry, mate. I'm not. Yeah, please.
Sam. For our friend Sam in the chat there, Man United fan. This one will get you going. This will get your juices flowing, Sam. Manchester United are making major moves to sign free agent Dominic Calvert-Lewin. How excited are you? How excited are you?
Where's that story coming from?
That's coming from The Sun, I believe. That
it's not
newspaper.
If it was Ornstein, I'd be dancing around the room here.
A story's a story. It's not like The Sun never get anything right. Come on. The 28-year-old striker has left Everton this week following expiry of his contract. The attacking players. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he spent nine seasons at Everton, making 272 appearances and scoring 71 goals. Here's another guy who liked his off-field clothing. Who can remember I think he was dressed in a dress. Didn't he go out one night in a dress?
Who?
Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
He's trying to get in the Harry Styles fan camp.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy still only 28. I remember when he was lauded as the next big thing. This is what you've got to be careful of. This is what I talk about. When clubs could have gone in there and bid serious money for him when he was twerking for England, and then found out and had egg on your face. So you've got to be really, really careful. I do believe talent is a major point, obviously, to signing a player, but I think the mental state, what sort of mindset do they have, you know? And I think it's really important. Background, mindset, what they do off field. I think it's all very, very important. You've got to be focused in this day and age.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've just never thought he's got the talent personally. I don't know if he's got any issues off the field. I've never seen or heard that, but focus is not necessarily a demonstration of a bad attitude. It's just some people just don't necessarily appreciate what they have until it's gone. And if he was someone that was supposed to be one of the best, look, he's got the physical acumen. He's definitely a physical specimen of a fella. But yeah, he's no good. And like I said, you know, for those Tottenham fans that are watching who know me from the Spurs Talk Show, you know, I get accused of defending Daniel Levy a lot. I did say earlier in the summer when Tottenham Hotspur were linked with DCL that would be enough to send me over the line towards the Levy out camp. If Spurs went and got DCL, I would go full board Levy out. And I'm delighted to see. I don't care how spurious the rumours are, Johnny. If it's coming from the Sun or if it's coming from Ornstein, if it's truth to it, would love to see Man United think they were getting Gyökeres end up with DCL. I mean, that's like going out thinking I'm going to pull a 9 tonight because I got Johnny's shirt on. I'm going out looking dapper. I'm going to go down Soho and pick up a 9 out of 10, and you come home with a 3, you know, a 3.5.
Do you think we should raffle my shirt, Sean? It could be. I wonder whether we should raffle it.
A members raffle. You know. If we're doing that, mate, I guarantee what will happen is when Blaine donates 5 memberships, I'm like, no, I didn't want it. Now I've got a chance of receiving Johnny's shirt.
I mean, actually, the news is actually getting stronger and stronger for Arsenal. Apparently, personal terms have been agreed.
Yeah,
according to Fabrizio. Arsenal are serious. I mean, they're serious this season, and this is massive intent from them. Massive.
Yeah. Look, and Arsenal fans, if they get Gyökeres, which they are going to get him clearly, if they get him and they're still complaining, of which they will.
What? Zubimendi, Noni, him,
Norgard,
and Masquera, right, from Valencia. Right,
and Kepa as a backup goalkeeper.
Kepa as a backup goalkeeper.
Don't rate him, but as a backup, it's not a problem.
You know what they're worried about?
It's a really good transfer window. Yeah,
you know what they're worried about, Sean? You know what they're worried about, Arsenal fans now? They're petrified. I could never express it. Nwaneri.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So I'll bring this story up for us right now. That's the next thing for them to be concerned about. Ethan Nwaneri, I don't know how you say his name. I'm not sure what's the silent bit. Is it the W or the end that's silent? I don't know. Ethan, what is it? Nwaneri.
Nwaneri.
Okay,
yeah.
Nwaneri. Okay.
Nwaneri.
This is for me. Nwaneri is the Ekatike of you. Ethan, I'm going to call it Ethan. Ethan's situation at Arsenal is one to watch over the coming weeks. He is reluctant to sign a new contract without being guaranteed regular playing time. All of the big clubs are on alert.
Correct.
All of them, Johnny. Everybody.
Real Madrid. Listen, let me tell you something. Real Madrid were twerking for him earlier, and that went a little bit quiet. Now, you could definitely see him. He is an unbelievable talent. I mean, there's no two ways about it, as much as it pains me to say. Spurs have Mikey Moore, but, Nwaneri is a little bit more advanced than him. He's getting a lot more game time. I can see everyone after him. Now, Chelsea are already twerking. Are Chelsea trying to do the deal with Noni? Are they trying to do some swap plus cash?
Can you imagine?
Chelsea, Arsenal fans, as much as they're buying all these players, and
can you imagine?
They would. I mean, he's been lauded as the next, homegrown. Yeah, he's one of our own. Should he leave, that would not go down well. But listen, come on, Arsenal.
Hang on a second. We got a VAR on your pronunciation. Why am I listening to you, Johnny, when I'm saying how do I say the guy's name and you're telling me? If I've never heard of Hugo Ekitike, I was like, Johnny, how do I say it? You'd be like, his name's Ekitike.
One
is it Nwaneri? What is it? Nwaneri?
He's not Chinese, is he? He's not Chinese. He's Nwaneri.
Can any Arsenal fan?
I'm going to look. Hang on.
Can any Arsenal fan phonetically spell out how you say his name, or anyone that knows? For sure. Don't mislead us here, because we are the criminals of butchering players with difficult names.
Can I tell you?
I know how you spell it, Angus. I'm asking you how you say it. Like, write it out in a way that is how it should be pronounced.
You know what makes me laugh is the poor guys who do the commentary, the football commentary. They must have to check.
They have phonetic names for difficult ones.
They do.
I remember seeing who was the geezer with who was the old England commentator that had the big fur, the old sheepskin jacket that died about 10 years ago. Do you remember the guy?
Yeah.
He used to. I watched a documentary on him on the BBC.
John Motson.
Yeah, shout out to Motto. He had I saw a documentary when England went to like Serbia or the Czech Republic or wherever we were playing, and he said he had to go into the dressing room and get a translator to ask him how to spell it so that it was phonetically, so that he could get them all right on the day, because it's a nightmare. Yeah, what's this? There's only one non-wary.
There's only one non-wary.
Nwaneri.
Listen, we never knowingly said anyone's name right. Thankfully, there's more Smiths and Franks to be coming into this season. Hopefully, we'll get it right. One bit of news: Porto have appointed ex-Ajax boss Farioli as their new head coach. Farioli, he was twerking for some jobs in the Premier League, wasn't he? But if you remember, Ajax absolutely fell apart in those last 9 games. It looked like the league was theirs, and they just completely fell to pieces. So it was quite interesting that he still managed to get another really good job at Porto. He's a highly rated young coach. I wish him well at Porto. It didn't take him long to get a job, did it?
Now, look, obviously, look, 100% they fell apart in the last 3 or 4 games, but the fact is that they got themselves up into the position. He's obviously got talent about him. Look, Ange Postecoglou's going to get another job. Sam Allardyce will get another job. Once you get into the footballing ecosystem, you're never going to be without a job. You're always going to be okay, because once you've broken through to top tier, you're always going to be looked after at some point, because for you to have got there, you've probably got some mustard about you. Interesting story, mate. For those non-Tottenham fans or Celtic fans, you might not be too bothered about this one, but this was a player who played for Celtic.
Yeah, Kaigo Furiashi. See, I can do that one.
Right. Kaigo Furiashi. Yeah, he was at Celtic. He banged in the goals in Ange Postecoglou's triple-winning season. He was doing he was playing the kind of sacrificial lamb role that Dom Solanke was asked to play. Obviously, entirely different sort of 9, but he was getting 30, 40 goals a season in the Scottish Prem. Went to Rennes. Now, obviously, Rennes have with their financial issues. And now that we spoke about this before, mate, Rennes getting pillaged. Birmingham City have now taken the guy on a 3-year contract. Birmingham City still in the Championship, aren't they?
No, they got not.
Or they in League One.
They absolutely romped League One last year under Davis. Davis is a top coach. Make no mistake about it. With the new American owners on board, I expect Birmingham to be serious contenders this season. They're going to spend the money. I'm not sure Kaigo has the physical attributes
for the Championship.
I'm not 100% sure. I'd love to be proved wrong. I think you can hack that in the middle of the park. I'm not sure how it will work up front, but he's like that fox in the box. But believe me, Davies knows what he's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to capture maybe a couple of players from Spurs, maybe a Jamie Donnelly or a Mikey Moore, to go and play for them this season. But keep your eye on Davis. Really, really good coach. I can see him taking a really big job.
Been saying it's pronounced. I think you're mispronounced. I think you're talking about a Nigerian player. What are we doing here?
What are we doing in here?
That guy coming out of Nigerian football, he sounds absolutely sensational.
Listen, Sean and I were thinking of, like, when the season starts and we read out the scores from the day, that we should spin a wheel.
Yeah, we'll get a little lottery, like a spin the wheel game on the screen, and then whichever accent comes up, Johnny's got to call them out. All that scores.
In that accent. We got a super chat from Mr. Pox office.
Yeah, we're going to call them out now. We've got one from Cat Funt as well. You have to be very careful how you say that one, Johnny. You pronounced that one correctly, my man. Mr. Pox office is saying, if Tell does make it, thank you very much, Mr. Pox office. Remember Sean, and I rate what he did at FCB. Bundesliga and Bayern Munich. Watched almost every game since Kane joined them. He was brilliant in 23-24.
Correct. I think, to be honest with you, Pox office, although I didn't want Tell to sign for Spurs if we had limited budget, I 100% can see the similarities between what he had in talent to what I saw with Mbueno, where I thought Mbueno was going to be an absolute nuts. And what he had was lots of threat, no end product, panicked in front of goal. And Thomas Frank has worked on him. And I believe that Tell has a higher ceiling than Mbueno from that point of view. He's still only 20 years of age. And I expect big things from him. Maybe not so much this season, but over the next 2 or 3 seasons. I think it's a really good sign. And I share your optimism. I just wasn't sure about spending that money now if we had limited funds.
Yeah, I've backed this guy since the day we were linked with him. I love Matisse Tell's work rate. I think you can't teach that energy. You can't teach that desire. But he's got all of the skills in the other area of the games. But the areas where he's weak, like he does have a pillow foot shot. He can't put his foot through it. And he sometimes lets the big moment, the opportunity pass him by in terms of when the ball falls to him in the right area. Those things can be taught with confidence, with experience, with age, and with right coaching, in terms of the things that are inalienable that you have to have inside you, and that those things will never be. Doesn't matter how much you're coached. If you just can't be bothered, if you're lazy, those things have to come from within, not by being told. They're internal resources, not external sources. And so for me, the things that he's weak can be taught. The things that he's strong in, you either have or you don't. and I absolutely love it. I'm not entirely sure what the question is, though. If Tell does make it, remember Sean and I rate what he did. Watched almost every game since Kane joined them. He was brilliant in 2024.
We bookmarked it, Mr. Box Office, that you
rate him. That's what you're saying. You rate him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we will remember it. And
I'll remember it, mate. I remember it. Don't worry, mate. There's very few people that have been on my side with this one, Pox Office, but I remember you will, buddy. I think you've come in with another one saying, Mr. Pox Office, if you don't know the itch, get to know the itch. And that's it. I'm done. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you're listening on...
Back to you in the hospital.
If you're listening on audio, this is reference to Mr. Box Office, not Mr. Pox Office, who comes on with his tagline, if you don't know, get to know, or you need to know. We got another super chat from Cat Funt.
Yeah, super sticker. I actually can't see it on StreamYard. I will bring it up when I get a chance to see it, mate. But I'm sure everyone else can see it on the screen right now. I just can't see it because I don't have access to the YouTube channel right this second. But thank you very much, mate. Very, 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 very generous of you, and I appreciate you guys. Your Welsh accent is getting better, Sean. What is this Welsh accent you talk about? What is this? Dear, we're going to get cancelled.
Next one.
Johnny, let's move on the stories, my man. We've done the Denzel Dumfries, but we have to talk a little bit, an ickle bit, about...
Denzel Washington's, he looked in that photo.
What's that, sorry?
I said he had a touch of the Denzel Washingtons in that photo.
100%, mate.
Oh, not this one.
Now, this is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. Chelsea have been, this is by the Daily Mirror, Chelsea have told United they will have to pay £35 million if they want to sign Christopher Nkunku. Now, look, mate, they signed for him 2 years ago, 70 million quid. But I think it was only on a 5-year deal. So we know because of UEFA's sanctions that Chelsea have to get themselves into a better situation with regards to their net deficit on transfer strategies in order to not face further consequences in the years to come. They've only got this summer or January to be able to get themselves the right side before the next evaluation by UEFA. If they are selling Nkunku, remember, Chelsea have got a traditional track record of, even on their mistakes, they get some of their money back, like with Kai Havertz. They get most of their money back with Kai Havertz, which is what most teams don't get to celebrate. Nkunku, they'll be losing 50%, but they will have amortized about 40% of that 70 that they paid. So in terms of a net transfer deficit or spend thing, it makes sense to shift him on. But given the fact that no one really is interested in him right now, they've lowered the asking price, which is quite... Because I remember a couple of weeks ago, there were rumours saying Chelsea are willing to sell him, but it's going to cost 60 million. They want most of their money back. Now it's 35 million. Would you take a punt on Nkunku at 35? Because I think I would.
I've just got to be honest with you, right? While he was at RB Leipzig, everyone was twerking for Christopher Nkunku, right? And rightly so. He was fantastic, a really exciting striker. Unfortunately, he had a major injury pre-season, and he never got his pre-season, and he's never really lived up to be the player that we all know he can be. Now, it's taken him a long time to get back to any sort of form. We've seen him have some minutes for Chelsea in the Club World Cup. 35 million. I don't think it's too bad. He's still young enough. I think it's quite interesting that Manchester United, who were twerking for Cunha, twerking for the top strikers, have now come to the realization that they're not going to get rid of half the players. Therefore, they're not going to have the funds available, Sean, at all.
Yeah.
And now we're being linked with Nkunku and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. For me, Nkunku, if you can get him firing again, he's a great asset. And he's a better player, for sure, than Xerxes and Højlund. That's my opinion. But the question still remains, has the injury robbed him of that lightning pace and that little bit of extra which makes the difference? But I would have thought, I said to you, I thought they'll sell Jackson and they might have to loan Nkunku rather than sell him, but we shall see. But I think they will need to sell a couple of those. They've got about 5-6 players that they could sell quite easily now, Chelsea, to balance those books, and that's what they're going to have to do. And will clubs, knowing full well that Chelsea have to adjust and sell some players towards the end of this window, make a play on it. We shall see.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, I think you're absolutely spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. Just quickly, I want to bring up. There's a few more stories, mate. You still got a bit of time?
Yeah, you have, guys. If you're
okay?
in the chat, please, as I say, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button and help the channel grow. And if you're listening on audio, please hit the 5-star review and just write us a very quick review. It all helping us grow. And thank you for your help in this.
Yeah, there's 650 people watching, which I'm pretty sure is close to a channel record for live concurrent views. So massively appreciate the support, fellas, ladies as well. Foxy Welsh, that sounded very much like a Botswana. I know it did, mate. I deliberately went down the Botswana route, but if you want me to do a Tom Jones, I can do a Welsh accent, no problem. Sex bomb. Okay. Oh, my hips gone.
Okay, Denny.
Carry on. We have. I've got a question for you, Johnny, or someone actually asked me, but I'll let you answer it. Sean, what is the? Where is it? Sean, what is the expected goals? Here we go. Angus is an Arsenal fan, I believe. Yes, he is. Sean, for Gyökeres in his first season in the Premier League, how many goals do you think is reasonable for his first season, Johnny?
I think he will score. I would put money on him scoring over 20 goals without even thinking about it.
Yeah,
I would put £100 on him scoring over 20 goals.
Would you stick a cheeky bet on him being top goal scorer, Golden Boot?
Yeah.
I wonder what the odds you could get on that.
Listen, I don't think you'll get.
I had a cheeky 20 quid on Liam Delap being Golden Boot, but if this is going to happen, then I think I've just thrown that money away. To be honest,
I just think that he's. I just really like the guy. I don't know why Spurs never went with him. You know, having a Swedish spine with Bergvall, Kulu, and Gyökeres. I mean, how exciting would that have been? That shows ambition. But I am surprised that Ruben Amorim. I do think Ruben Amorim would definitely have loved to have signed Gyökeres without a doubt. But the fact of the financial constraint and they can't get rid of half of their players right now has put a spanner in the works. And Arsenal are nipping in and doing it. I'm actually surprised that Liverpool haven't gone in for him, knowing full well that they want to get rid of Darwin Núñez. But are they more interested in Ekitike or Victor Osimhen? We shall see.
Yeah, I think that Victor Osimhen will probably end up in the Premier League or Saudi, but he's already rejected them. But
Saudi down, mate. 17
yeah,
minutes.
but so did Theo Hernandez, and then a bit more money, and then everyone's got their price at some point, haven't they? You know, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I wanted to ask you this one, Johnny, bringing it back to Tottenham briefly. Juventus are interested in signing Yves Bissouma from Tottenham Hotspur this summer. I think this is a story we spoke about before, but it's been rehashed by Gazzetta dello Sport. I think he'd be a good fit in the Juve system, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Blood rush to the head, the odd red card, few balloons. He loves a balloon. For me,
wait for it. I haven't got it turned on. Let's do it again. Here we go.
You can have it. Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, no. What was the balloons one? There's one of those reactions that does the balloons.
I can't remember which one is the balloons.
I think
but
that one,
what we do know is
whatever.
I would swap him all day. We'll do a complete direct swap and we'll have Douglas Luiz. Thank you very much. Douglas Luiz, Prem proven. For me, I think Italy was obviously the wrong move for him. We've seen how he was at Aston Villa and all day long. I think they paid over £50 million for him, Juventus, which was a massive gamble for them. Not a gamble, but a big purchase for them, for Juve. And hasn't quite worked out. I'd be happy to pay 25 million for him, because what can you get for 25 million at the moment? Not a lot. And so for me, thank you very much, Bissouma. Will Bissouma hang around and say, it's okay, I've got 1 year left? And I will, he loves a balloon. He does love a balloon. If you don't know what we're referring to, it made him happy. That's all I will say. Danny
Kiriakis in the chat. Shout out, Danny. Sean, check the odds. I do a cheeky bet on that. On what? You talking about Gyökeres, top goal scorer?
Yeah.
Let me know what the odds are. Let me know. But yeah, I
don't know what the odds are, but I would I'm really surprised that Liverpool aren't going in for him, because he's got that fluidity in his game. You know, you link him up with Florian Wirtz and Salah and Gakpo and Diaz. It just, I don't know. I think Liverpool's big problem, in all honesty, as we said earlier, is defensively. They've sold Quansah, and they've only now got Konate with 1 year left on his contract, looking like he could move or sign pre-January. I don't think they have enough, and him and Gomez and Virgil van Dijk, I don't think it's enough. They need another.
100%, mate. I completely agree, by the way. Completely agree. Here's a story for you, mate. Newcastle United would consider a move to sign Johan Bakayoko from PSV if they fail to get a deal over the line for Anthony Elanga. Mate, I would imagine that if they do get the deal over the line for Anthony Elanga, won't Nottingham Forest go in that direction?
Yeah, I mean,
Bakayoko's coming to the Premier League this summer regardless, isn't he?
I think so, and I don't think he's going to cost anywhere near what they're going to get for Anthony Elanga. So,
quality
do Newcastle take a quick right turn and hop off to PSV and get Johan Bakayoko? I mean,
I think if I'm Nottingham Forest, I'd rather line that deal up for 30 million, sell Elanga for 60 million quid for Elanga is a lot of money. Like, bearing in mind, mate, like we've already seen, let me get rid of the screen for a second. We've already seen what the sort of the template is here. Anyone that's at the top level, if Rafael Leao is worth 60 million, if João Pedro's worth 60 million, if Eze's worth 60 million, if all these players, Guacares isn't going to be too much more than that, apparently. If all these players seem to be somewhere between £60 million and £65 million, if Kudus is worth the same thing, then Anthony Elanga, I'm sorry, he's gone. I've offended him. I'll continue the conversation anyway until Johnny gets back. I don't think that Anthony Elanga is of the same ilk as those other names. I think he is a horses for courses player. I think he very much suits. The rain has just come from nowhere. It's absolutely teeming it down outside my house right now. It was fine a second ago. Now it's like being in Texas right now. By the way, sorry for everyone who's out in Texas and in various states in China. I hope everyone's safe because it's horrendous. Johnny, I was just saying, if Anthony Elanga is worth, like, all these other things that are going on, £60 million seems to get you anywhere from like second tier top class players, like not quite the world's best, but maybe not far away, down to, I don't think Anthony Elanga's at that level. I think he's a brilliant player, but he fits a very specific system, and the very specific systems that he suits are generally not the teams. The teams that play that specific system are not the teams that generally have 60 million quid to spend. So if Newcastle United want to drop 60 on him, and I'm Nottingham Forest, see you later, and then you go and get a Johan Bakayoko for half of that price. It makes so much sense to me. Far more sense than Newcastle United. Well, or the alternative is Newcastle United can find the same value in half the price player, because I don't think Newcastle United will use. I don't think they'll use Elanga in the same style, and they won't benefit as much from the same sort of system.
Listen, I like Elanga. I'm a big fan of his, but it depends. Newcastle are looking at Scalvini, who you and I both love, centre back, 21 years of age. Does it make more sense to go in and spread your money about and go for Scalvini and to Bakayoko, and therefore allowing you more money to buy other players? Because they've had other targets, let's be honest. They looked at João Pedro and got short shrift on that one. And they've made, I think, 3 bids for Elanga. Maybe it is time for them to turn right. I think someone was saying I was cherry-picking the odds there. Cherry-picking stats. In previous season, he had 10 GA in 15 games on the right. Who's he talking about? Is he talking about Kudus?
Maybe. I think he might be well behind on it. Maybe he's just joined the stream right from the start.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay,
let us know, Strap and Joe. Where are you from as well? Who do you support, mate? First time we've seen you. So let us know where everyone... If you're new in the channel, guys, let us know where you're from and who you support. It's always good to get to know the likelihood. So you're saying that you think that Bakayoko makes more sense at about 60% of the price than what you're going to pay for Elanga?
If you have a budget and Newcastle have been trying to sit to the budget. I think across the board, if you're buying Bakayoko and you want to buy Scalvini and you want to have money for a top striker as well, then that makes sense. If money's no object and you've got plenty of wiggle room in FFP and PSR, then obviously maybe you go for Elanga, Prem proven.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, mate. I think that either scenario works out well for Forest. If they don't sell him and they keep Elanga, I think it suits Nuno. If they do sell him, they can go and get a player like Johan Bakayoko, who they tried to sign last summer and failed to get. So it's an interesting one. A couple more stories, though. We won't be going for too much longer, Johnny, unless you've got more things coming up your side. But Barcelona are now set to hold talks with United in the coming days over a deal to sign Rashford on loan.
Yeah,
they're not to buy. We knew this was going to happen, right?
Yeah,
no one's paying the money for him.
We said that you and I said this weeks ago that this made sense. I mean, I won't say the word because I've been asked not to say the word, beginning with T. But I was saying he's been positioning himself he's been positioning himself. He's been
working. He hasn't been
working the deal to get to Barcelona. And let's be honest, like we said, no one's going to afford the fee that they're asking for, and no one's going to be able to afford, not even Barcelona, the wages. So I think Manchester United will be sending him there on loan, and they'll obviously pay a loan fee and be probably having to pay a percentage of that very large wage that he's getting from there. But I think he'll be a very good signing for Flick. Hansi Flick. Listen, I saw what he did with Rafinha. When you saw him playing out on the left before, he wasn't really having the best season. He moved him inside, and he had a fantastic season last season. And I think he will rekindle Marcus Rashford's career. If I'm honest, there, I think it'll be a great move for everyone other than Man United, probably.
Got Angeball saying here, Douglas Luiz was doing bits for Villa. He had Boubacar Kamara and John McGinn doing all the donkey work. I feel Bissouma is in a better place than Douglas Luiz after him barely kicking a ball all season. But we'll see, I guess. On that note, Johnny, one of the sort of stories we've still got to go through here is this one from Corella della Sport. Juventus are stepping up efforts to sign Jadon Sancho. They want to offer Douglas Luiz. I mean, it's annoying, isn't it, that no one seems to be making a move. But when Juventus are happy to bring players in, why don't we, rather than if they're happy to offer Douglas Luiz but they want Bissouma, I'd pay Juventus 15 million quid plus Bissouma for Douglas Luiz right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's a shame we don't have Oliver Skip because we could have done a trade, couldn't we?
Yeah. To me, I just think that it's if Juventus are desperate to get hold of Jadon Sancho on a permanent, but they want to do it when Sancho's only got a year left, why don't they just do a loan deal for Sancho, pay his wages, and do a little bit of a loan fee? But then if they want to give Douglas Luiz away, and they're also interested in Bissouma, they can get money out of Tottenham, in my opinion, by getting in Bissouma. We could pay I'd pay 10, 15 million quid I'd pay 20 million quid for Luiz and got rid of Bissouma, because that for me is a straight like-for-like swap.
We've got 1 year left. What can you get for Bissouma? Maybe
15 million max?
Yeah, 15 million. Buy him back. £10 million invested in it is a no-brainer for me. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
100% indeed, mate.
We don't know what's inside the head of the new manager. If you're here in the chat right now and you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button because it helps the channel grow. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button because that will notify you that when we're next going on. And we never know whether we're going morning, noon, or night, the way things are going at the moment. But thank you for all your support, guys. It's much appreciated.
Just a quick weird one. I don't know anything about the player, but it's a very interesting direction of travel. Flamengo from Brazil have made a £5 million approach for West Brom and Republic of Ireland winger Mikey Johnson. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's any good or not, but you don't often see those sorts of deals going the other way, do you? You see mainly Brazilian players coming to Europe. You don't often see Irish players. Do you think an Irish lad would sort of farewell in the samba of Flamengo?
I don't know. I think it's quite exciting, quite an exciting thing. If you're in a cold place in like West Brom or whatever, and it's an opportunity to do something unusual, make some news, make some headlines. I'm surprised there's still been no news talking about Brazil, that there's been no news of Richard Rios, Palmeiras player.
Now that they're out of the cup, right?
Now they're out of the cup, unluckily with a double deflection against Chelsea, because I thought that I thought they'd knocked Chelsea out, if I'm brutally honest. But they didn't. Double deflection, and they scored a late goal to knock themselves out. I think he's a top player. Maybe someone's going to go in for him. I've just got live football on.
No, it's not live football. It's from Twitter. Don't worry about it. It's happy birthday to the most iconic throw-in taker in the history of Premier League, Rory Delap, 49 today. Look at this guy. Look at these unbelievable. That guy was built differently. How he could throw these things. I'm sure it's technique, but I'm sure he's also got like another muscle in his body, because no one else could do it. But look at those. Look at those things. Those fucking furious throw-ins. I remember on the receiving end of that stuff a few times.
I can imagine that Thomas Frank, the first day of the pre-season training, he'll be lining them up, saying, "Right, they'll have auditions for the long throw." He's used the long throw. He's used the long throw over the last 5 years, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go again. Z Roberto's 51 today.
Look at the state of this man. Gee whiz.
Well, if you can't see
aging gracefully, Johnny.
If you can't see on, obviously you can't see on audio, but this guy's 51 and ripped. He could be 25 years of age. Let's just put it like that. I wouldn't mind like that at 25.
Unbelievable stuff, mate. Unbelievable. So I think we've basically rounded up the kind of the transfer news, views, and clues for us today, guys. Johnny, if there's anything else your side, mate?
No, all good. And again, thanks to everyone for your support. As I said, it's good housekeeping on your way out.
Oh, hang on. There's a Romano tweet. 1 second. Hang on. Find out what's going on. Romano. What's he got for us? A bomber? Has he got a bomber? Why can't I see it? Hang on. Fabrizio Romano.
Attention.
He said, look at this, mate. It's actually worth discussing. Oh, it's a good day for Tottenham fans, I think.
Here we go.
Not quite. But understand that Mohamed Kudus is not talking to any other club at this stage. He wants the Tottenham move, Johnny. Welcome to Tottenham, Mohamed Kudus. Kudus already said yes to Spurs project, and the club-to-club talks with West Ham will continue soon. Clear intention is to join Tottenham. I put out a video yesterday, Johnny. Talking about Kudus to Spurs, and maybe with other things that are happening, don't forget about Eze. Maybe there's a chance. The amount of comments that came into my thing, Sean, you are delusional. Sean,
you never know, Sean.
You're not getting either of these guys. This is Daniel Levy you're talking about. 12 hours later, Johnny, and it looks like we're coming up with this bad boy. This is a big deal for Tottenham Hotspur getting this guy. I hear what you said earlier about him.
Here he is in a Spurs shirt. There you go.
Love to see it.
There you
go. Get it on the screen.
Your
green screen. There we go. It's looking good. If Romano's saying it, mate, we got to take it seriously, haven't we?
Well, listen, I think everyone wants their first signing. Newcastle, Spurs, Arsenal, everyone wants it done. Will it be done, Sean, before the end of this week? Yeah.
Well, look, the release clause is only up until the 10th. It doesn't mean that I don't think Tottenham have got any interest in triggering the release clause. But if it does drag on, I would actually make the argument that a team like Chelsea, who might be the sort of people that do just pull the trigger and go, you know what, I said this earlier. I said, Todd Bowley et al., they've just got a different relationship with money. £1 million to them is nothing. It's like chump change. They're used to dealing in billions with Clear Lake Capital, right? These people are used to dealing in numbers with an extra couple of noughts. Daniel Levy, nickels and dimes, because he grew up and where $1 million is a lot of money, like it's a big deal to him. And so you sometimes you can be penny wise and pound foolish in a market where your competitors have a different relationship with that size cash. But I love the fact that we're being decisive on this one. I love the fact that we are being on the front foot, and we will see if it gets done. If it does get done, it's good news, isn't it, mate? It's good news.
Yeah, it's good news. It's hardly front foot. It's hardly been decisive, but you know we're going to get there. But listen,
why isn't it been decisive and front foot? What do you mean?
Well, I mean it's taken quite a while to get to this. To
get a week.
Well, no, come on, Sean. We've been interested in him for longer than a week.
Have we?
Yes, we have. Come on.
How long have we been interested in him?
Sean, come on.
Hang on.
Hold the coffee, mate.
No, wait a minute. How long have the Kudus? No, hang on a second, mate.
Right.
How long
have the window's been open for weeks? Come on, the window's been open for weeks. Okay.
How long has the Kudus to Tottenham story been around for?
Been around for longer than a week. Okay.
10 days.
All right. Okay. Anyway, the point is,
it's not like Zubamendi.
Will this be the one and only bright spark of the Tottenham transfer window, or will it just be the start? If it's the start, happy days. If it's the main and only one, I predict a riot. And I think there are a lot of other clubs out there waiting to get their first signing over the line. Newcastle.
I cannot wait for this to be here we go soon, mate, because I've got receipts on all of them.
Let me tell you, could be here we go.
The Tottenham fan base, not just the people that I share screens with, the people in the comments, and there's 580 people here. A lot of you lot in the comments. I've seen you in my comments on my videos saying we're not going to get any of these done. I'm coming for you all. I'm coming for all of you.
We both said we would get one, but ideally to show intent and make your statement of I want to win the Champions League and the Premier League not look absolutely ridiculous if you go and buy both. Buy Eze, buy Kudus, then we'll start taking your intent seriously. But he's a right winger. Okay. Yes, he can.
He's everything. He's everything, guy, isn't he? He's a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, master of none. I think the right-hand side is where he's going to be, which asks the question, who is the sacrificial lamb? Is it Odegaard? Is it Johnson? We shall see.
It's Man or Solomon, surely.
He's on the left, mate. Man Solomon's on the left. Stop
Here we go. Surely we think you're getting Eze as well still. Oh, the laughy emoji. I didn't say we're going to get him. I said it's possible, but everyone in the Tottenham fan base is saying that I'm a delusional for saying we could get either. I said we can get both.
Possible. Everything is possible until it's impossible, right?
Don't you worry about me, mate. I've got a decent track record. When I think things are done, I think things are done. We are going to say arrivederci and bonjour and ciao. We'll see you later on. Johnny, what's coming up in your day, mate? Are you knocking around anywhere else this afternoon?
I'm not knocking around anywhere. I'm up to a wedding. No, I'm up to a wedding. I will be in my dinner suit. Actually, I'm not in a dinner suit. Actually, it's a casual wedding. So I'll be standing in the rain in about 2 hours' time. Hopefully, the bride and groom, it's some nice weather. Guys, everyone who's in the chat, everyone listening on Apple, thanks for your support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. And if you're on audio, hit that 5-star and review button. Thank you very much. And it's goodbye from me.
And watch this, I'm going to get it right. And it's goodbye from him. See you guys. See you tomorrow. Take care.